Many high and low level players make the exact same mistakes in Roblox Rivals, from copying pro settings that ruin your aim to ignoring sound cues that give away your position, and finally, poor habits that throw rounds you should have won. In today's video, we will be going through 14 mistakes people make that lose them games and what to do instead, and by the end of this video, your ranked climb will get a lot easier. The first and probably one of the biggest mistakes people make is copying settings, or specifically sensitivity, from pro players or YouTubers. I can't begin to explain how bad that actually is. Their settings won't make you as good at the game as they are. Maybe those settings will motivate you to improve and become like that person, which is fine, but barely anyone is actually comfortable with those exact same settings. If 10 people were to copy my settings, maybe 8 or 9 of them would have a really hard time getting used to them, while the other 1 or 2 would find my settings better. My point is, you can use similar settings, but make sure to tweak them in your own way so you play with the settings that suit you the most, not someone else. The second mistake is done by a lot of knife players, and if you're one of them, you should definitely hear me out on this one. Most knife players only use knife, and when knife is taken away from them, well, there comes a problem. And this isn't just for knife players, but for everyone else too. Don't use the same weapon or melee all the time. You should learn other weapons as well, so that in case you can't play that specific melee or weapon you want, you have a backup weapon to help you win the game easier. I have a pretty decent tech that counters pretty much all knife players, and as soon as I pull it off, they switch to AR or something else, and their aim absolutely sucks. They can't land a single shot on me, and I have the easiest game of my life. And all of that is because knife requires everything except aiming, and when you bring that into an actual fight, no flashy movement will help you win the aim duel. So my suggestion is, keep using knife, but learn to play a different weapon because you will eventually need it. If not for casual, then for ranked. We mentioned knife users, and they tend to pick arena all the time, but it doesn't stop there because they're not the only ones who pick arena constantly. I have around 160 hours in the game, and I have been playing arena all the time because everyone chooses it, and it became so boring to me that I can't even explain it. I pretty much mastered the map, there is nothing new for me to learn on it, no new playstyles to master. But then I see people who have double or triple my level and playtime, and they still pick arena all the time. And when I manage to pick a different map, they don't stand a chance. You have to understand that if you ever plan on improving on other maps or getting high ranks, you genuinely need to play other maps to learn and master them like you did with arena, because then you will actually be able to climb and perform well on them. The easiest way for me to beat a high level player, a sweat, or even a knife player is if I pick a map they're not familiar with, and in ranked, that's crucial. The fourth mistake is something a lot of players ignore, and that's making too much sound, either by fake dashing, fisting too much, or even faking katana, because that tells your opponent exactly where you are. I'm not saying faking is bad, it's good for momentum as well, but don't use it all the time. There are specific situations where you want to be unpredictable and silent, but by faking too much, you reveal your position. There's actually a way to stay more silent on arena and other maps with walls. Another mistake would be not subscribing to my channel. Make sure to like the video and subscribe, help me reach 100,000 subs faster. Which brings us to wall sliding, which is something not many people do. A lot of good players I have watched in the past use wall sliding to their advantage because it makes no sound and lets you travel across the map, especially in arena. It's pretty simple to do, and it also makes you really stealthy. The next big mistake is turning your back on the enemy while running away. As soon as you turn your back, you lose track of your opponent, which means they could move anywhere, even get closer to you or push you without you realizing it. Unfortunately, the only way for you to properly run backwards without bumping into a wall is if your map knowledge is good enough to know exactly where you should move without looking, which is actually a bit more difficult than you think. But the more you play and the more you try to do this, the easier it will get. Just try not to turn your back or lose track of your opponent. That brings us to another mistake that is done by a lot of players I have coached in the past, and I talked about it in my latest video, which is reloading while exposed. I will put some examples of players reloading in the open or while the opponent can see them, especially on high ground in arena, and that completely leaves them vulnerable because they give their opponents a free peek. Instead, go down, take your time to reload safely, and then go back to the fight, because otherwise you're just giving them a free round. Talking about going back to a fight, sight is mostly used in arena for that, staying unpredictable and dashing right back up. There's a mistake in that too, which is dashing too high instead of perfectly onto the wall. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a huge difference between dashing like this and dashing like this. In the first clip, you take some time to fall back down onto the wall, which makes you so much easier to hit because you're basically only moving vertically. While in the second clip, you can chain another slide as soon as you reach that wall and they can't react in time to punish your dash. Trust me, it makes a huge difference, so try learning how to dash properly. Here's how I line up my crosshair when doing so. Don't aim all the way up. The next mistake is not switching your loadout or strategy when your opponent counters you. If your loadout is getting countered, you don't want to keep running it because that will make you lose. Instead, you want to switch things up to counter their loadout and keep staying unpredictable because that's what throws them off the most. I talked about that with knife players. They're used to one strategy. As soon as that strategy gets countered like this, they either keep trying it or lose the game because they're not used to a different loadout. So don't let that happen to you. Not analyzing clips or gameplay to learn from your mistakes is another mistake. I know most of you don't have good devices and can't record, which is understandable, but those of you who can record should definitely go back and review your gameplay, especially the games you lost. Why? Because you get to see what you did wrong, what your opponent did to punish you, and how they beat you. That allows you to learn from your own mistakes, pick something up from your opponent's gameplay, and use that in future games, since we still don't have the replay system. I was personally always lazy when it came to that, but I'm not going to lie to you, it helps a ton if you're dedicated to improving. We mentioned sound earlier and how you shouldn't reveal where you are, but what if your opponent is doing that? You don't want to play without audio or ignore sound cues because they're what helps you the most when it comes to keeping track of your opponent. You get to know where they are, predict where they're going next, and often get the first shot on them. This helps a ton with predicting and pre-firing as well, so don't sleep on sound cues. We always talk about 1v1s, but what would one of the biggest mistakes in 2v2s or 3v3s be? Let me know in the comments if you guessed this right. It's communication. Not communicating with your teammates at all, which leads to them making bad picks and pushes, is a huge mistake. If you can't talk in voice chat, there are pings too. Pings allow you to mark exactly where you see an opponent, which helps your teammate get a good position instead of blindly running in without knowing where they are. If you have information, make sure to give it to your teammates. Pings can help a ton. Using weapons that require no skill is a big mistake. You basically use them to feed your ego, win more games, and then when you switch to skilled weapons, you're wondering why you aren't improving. Imagine a 4-4 sudden death situation and you pull out the combo of Doom and Despair, which is Riot Shield, Shorty, and Freeze Ray, and you win the game like that. Ask yourself, did you really win that game? Some would say you did because you outsmarted the opponent by switching loadouts, which is valid, it's tactical. But what if you're trying to improve at the game and fight better players? Losing shouldn't make a difference. It should help you identify your mistakes and help you win future games. It doesn't necessarily make you bad. Sure, you will beat some players with that loadout, but what if the next player comes prepared with EXO or anything else that counters the combo? You're done, and you lost the game by basically giving up and switching to a no-skill combo instead of actually fighting properly until the end. The last and biggest mistake in this video is playing too greedy. And before you say you're not greedy and leave, you have to understand that all of us have these moments. The round is going too well, you want to clip your opponent, do something insane, and you get greedy and careless, which leads to you losing the round. Then you blame everything else for it. It's fine to be aggressive and confident in some cases, but being overly confident and greedy is what hurts your gameplay the most. Make sure to think before making these decisions. That will be all from today's mistakes video. Thank you for watching. If you're looking for personalized one-on-one advice, you should check out my membership perks. By becoming a member, you will have direct contact with me and be able to ask me anything you would like. And if you're interested in seeing 8 mistakes every player I coached made so you don't make them too, check out the video on screen, and I will see you guys in the next video.